How's it going, everybody? Thank you for checking my channel and welcome to today's video. Today's gonna be a follow-up video because I'm actually doing a really big project right now, but I got a comment from Devil Eye on my How to Skip Baal Waves video asking if this would be possible in Diablo 2 Resurrected, as this already was able to work in Plugy. Now, while I'm still looking for two particular items to make my build complete, I want to go ahead and see if this would be the exact same process as far as the timing, if it would be just as easy or a little bit harder compared to in Plugy where I did this prior. And there were also a few different questions that I didn't really have any answers to, other than when it came to doing the research on the previous video to this is just how you simply do it with no other context in there. But I actually did a lot more digging and I found out a lot more information to be able to hopefully give you guys more context on why you need to be able to time it in a very specific way, so that way this is going to be an easier process for you to be able to skip Baal Waves. With all that said, let's get into the video.
Death can save you from me.
Greetings, mortal. I knew you would find your way back here.
Before we get into the actual Baal Wave skipping, there's two important things I want you guys to understand about doing this process. The first one is you need to have the entire throne room clear, as well as I suggest having the area outside of it, so that way nothing's going to be having you get attacked to where you need to skip over the line going into the throne room prematurely to have the Baal Wave not be skipped, and it's just going to make it to where the experience of this is going to be a lot easier. The second thing is the wave that's going to be typically the hardest for people to skip, not because of any kind of numbers or anything, but just because of circumstance, is going to be the first wave. Because people typically will go into the throne room and they'll fight their way to Baal, and if they're going to be doing this, they're going to have to move all the way back to the entrance of the throne room, compared to speaking to going in the throne room and then moving their way back, dragging everything to the entrance, which would then make it easier to be able to do this. So again, the first wave, if you don't skip it, because you typically fight your way into the throne room and don't work your way all the way back before you kill everything, it's going to make it a little bit harder. Otherwise, when it comes to actually skipping the waves, they're all the exact same process. It's not going to be where, for example, you're going to have wave 1 skip a lot harder than, for example, wave 5. They're all the exact same way to skip it. But with all that said, let's get into skipping the Baal Waves so you can see which ones I was able to successfully do, and also the ones that unfortunately were a miss. All right, Baal, what are you going to drop for me this time? Come on. Oh, nice. Unironically, I need this and one other item to be able to actually get this project done. So this is perfect because I need it for the life tap charges, and now all I need to do is find Demon Limb. Now that we know what actually skipping Baal Waves is supposed to look like compared to speaking to what it's not supposed to look like, let's go over the details of the exact process when it comes to the timing, where to stand, how far to go in, and just everything in general when it comes to this. But first, when it comes to this, I'm going to talk about going in and out of the throne room. Let's clarify where the line is real quick. The line is right here. Now, if you guys are coming from Plugy, this is a pretty easy line to see because it is incredibly dark. Granted, when it comes to comparing it to Diablo 2 Resurrected, the dark graphics of Plugy make it to where it kind of stands out really nicely because it is very visually easy to see despite the graphics are all pretty dark. In Diablo 2 Resurrected, it's the only line like it within its area when it comes to its tile, but because the ground is really reflective because of the candles, it might be a little bit difficult for some people to see. So kind of just take that into consideration when it comes to comparing it if you are coming from Plugy to Diablo 2 Resurrected. But for any of you guys that are just simply starting at Diablo 2 Resurrected, this is the line that people are going to be associating with in and out of the throne room. Now, where I stand to be able to start the process to do this is right at the candles at the entrance of the throne room. I usually stand at the lower right one and then cross diagonally just so I have a little bit more time time to be able to time out my character's movement speed with Baal's laugh. When it comes to this process, it's important to follow a very specific way to be able to go in and out of the throne room at very specific times. And I'm also going to give you guys examples of what all this looks like so you guys get a better understanding of how to do so. When it comes to going in and out of the throne room, Baal is able to see up to that line, but also do understand that when it comes to the actual corners of the actual throne room, when it looks like on the map, he is not able to actually see that because from the middle of that line going in and out of the throne room, if you were to go and make kind of a circle, he's not able to see the corners, so you could technically hide there if you want to, but the easiest way to do it is at the very entrance of the throne room. And the reason it needs to be timed a very specific way when it comes to standing in the throne room and then exiting at a certain peak of his laugh, which is going to be right here. At that point of his laugh is when you need to start actually exiting the throne room because of the active versus inactive ideas when it comes to this game. For any of you guys that have experience with doing the seal pop trick to be able to get the max loot out of the monsters before popping the final seal, trying to despawn Baal's clone, when it comes to setting up the Ancients fights, when it comes to the rejuves or the potions in general on the ground, so that way they don't actually time out and disappear, or people that are actually farming Diablo clone to be able to get a good Annie and to know which super you need to go to. You've used the exact same technique to be able to do that as you would for this, maybe without even knowing. And what this means is, when it comes to Baal for his sight, he can see all the way up to that line. That's important to remember because once you step over that line, you are no longer within a screen or two screens of Baal because he can again see up to that line. If you leave a certain area or out of screen for that particular area, you have about 7 to 8 seconds before it is no longer considered active. So you need to be able to leave at that specific time and no sooner than that, because of the fact that if you do so, it makes it to where he's no longer going to have his throne room be active before he actually goes to throw the orb. So by the time that you go back in, all you're going to be doing is constantly just restarting the laughing process without actually progressing forward to him actually throwing the orb. So you need to be able to leave at that particular point in his laugh or a little bit later than that. You don't want to leave after the laugh, at least in my experiences, because he could potentially actually still throw the orb. So at that particular peak of his laugh to the end of his laugh, you want to exit the throne room, so that way the throne room is still considered active for you to be able to go back in, take a step in, and to be able to step back out for the throwing of the orb to be canceled. That's for the timing of why you need to be able to leave the throne room at that exact moment. What you're then going to do is you need to be able to wait till he's actually going to be doing the animation for throwing the orb, which is going to be roughly about 4 seconds. And if you want to be able to time it better, what you could do is I actually went up to Baal and waited till the end of his laugh up to him actually throwing the orb and just counted how long it actually took to be able to do so, and that's my indication. For any of you guys that don't do that or just want some kind of animation to be able to follow, you could do multiple different things, but the easiest ways to do it are to follow your character's continuous motions. Like for example, the barbarian, he kind of is holding, for dual wielders, he's kind of holding the weapons and swinging side to side. For the sorceress, you can see that her hair actually moves, and for a necromancer, he has his wand kind of waving up and down. For anybody that has trouble with it because Diablo 2 Resurrected has really nice fluid motion, go back to the original game graphics and you can actually see the animations a lot easier, especially like, for example, comparing my Barb in Diablo 2 Resurrected to Plugy. He's really blocky and it's really easy to kind of count how long it actually takes for him to actually do the motions before the actual orb was thrown. I went up to Baal, waited for his laugh to end, and just watched my character do their motions as he was about to throw the orb, and that's how I was able to indicate when I needed to be able to enter the throne room and immediately run back out. Now, that's for everything when it comes to the first part of the process. Now you're getting ready for him to throw the orb. When it comes to actually stepping in and out, the reason that you don't want to teleport is because when it comes to teleporting in and out, you have to be to the exact frame when it comes to him throwing the orb, comparatively speaking to walking and running, which gives you a lot more freedom of control for the character to be able to do one particular step in and out and done. That's really important because you only want to step into the actual throne room for about maybe one frame or as few frames as possible. Step in and immediately out. What this does is glitch the game into thinking, well, he's in, he's out, you know what, let's just skip. And you don't want to stay outside the throne room because you want to actually go back in right after that. And what you're going to be listening for is a delay in his laugh. There's not any particular laugh that's going to indicate whether it was a success or whether it was a fail. Granted, you will have a delay in the laugh because Baal typically is going to be clearing out the bodies when it comes to the throne room before he actually starts the laugh for the next wave. So that's why you want to be able to listen for the delay in his laugh, because one of his laughs, he has it to where it's low and then it gets high. you're not going to be listening for that kind of delay. It's a delay before that laugh starts. And that's what's going to indicate that the bodies technically would be cleared, so that way you can actually know that the Baal wave was skipped successfully. And that is when it comes to the process of going out of the throne room at a very specific time, because you want the throne room to still be active. You don't want to make the same mistake I did, which is leave the throne room way too early or at the beginning of his laugh, because then by the time you want to go back into the throne room, all you're going to be continuously doing is just resetting that particular wave laugh, and that's it. You're not going to actually be trying to actually skip the wave, because you would be out of the throne room too long for it to actually work. And again, you don't want to leave too late, because then you could potentially still spawn the wave to where when you try to go back in, you're not going to hear any laugh at all, and it's unfortunately going to be too late to actually skip it. So it's easy to, if you have any issues when it comes to whether you skipped it or not, you can just stay out of the throne room for about 10 seconds, go back in, restart the laugh process to be able to actually skip the wave. One of the particular parts that I actually can't help you with when it comes to this process is your character's movement speed. And that could be all determined by the faster roam walk that they use, whether it be 20, 30, 40, if they're using vigor, or for example, my barbarian was using frenzy, so they actually do speed up their movement speed as well as their attack speed when it comes to getting successful hits. It's going to be something that you're going to have to kind of watch on your character. So if they walk a little bit slower, you want to be able to walk out of the throne room at a particular point a little bit earlier. If they go incredibly quick, you want to be able to time that accordingly with leaving the throne room and then entering and exiting later to be able to get the one step in for the animation of the orb to be canceled, because that's going to be really important to time, as well as just the timing of the laugh. So it's really crucial that you guys have the timing of your particular character speed in tune with the actual laugh of Baal, as well as throwing at the orb, so that way you guys can get this done successfully. The last thing is, do understand that this is going to be helpful for those that are trying to speed run through the game or trying to do Baal farming to be effective as far as minimizing the time to get to Baal, because he can drop everything in the game. But do understand that when it comes to skipping the waves, you don't actually get the experience of the wave. You completely just negate that because you didn't actually kill them. You have to actually kill the monsters to get the experience, and if you skip them, you're not getting any of the experience with it. So for those that are trying to experience grind to level 99 or whatever the case is, understand that skipping the wave is going to be great to be able to minimize your time to get to Baal, but that's the only thing it's really going to benefit. It's not going to help your experience at all. That's going to be it for the video. Hope you guys enjoyed it and were able to see why when it comes to Baal skipping, granted it is still quite effective for those wanting to do speedrunning or to be able to farm Baal to minimize your run times, needs very specific timing to actually be effective, and hopefully gives more context for any of you guys that had any questions about it just like I did. If you like this kind of content, want to see more, hit the subscribe button and hit the bell notification to be notified whenever a new video comes out. And if you like this video, please let me know by leaving a like. Also, there's going to be a card in the corner up above for any of you guys that want to watch more of my Diablo 2 Resurrected content. Other than that, I'll see you guys in the next video, and hope you're all staying safe. Take care.